And we are live. Welcome everybody to another live Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the Self-Defense Show with myself, Nick Drossos. So today we're going to talk about a great topic that a lot of people have asked me to make this video. A lot of you love the self-defense, the personal training industry, and you want to make a career out of it. And I got to tell you guys, it's the most fulfilling and most awesome and greatest career you could have. For me, people tell me, what would your ideal and dream job look like? I'm living it right now. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you guys how I started my business. I started my business 10 years ago with a TRX, $200, bands, $30, and boxing pads. So I started my personal training business with less than I'll put a big $500 max. I started with $500. I started my personal training business. And today, 10 years later, it's my full-time career job. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about my journey. And this is all real. It's not made up. It's not, I want to give you guys a real story. I want to be true to you guys, to what it took me to build my business. Because if you're watching this video and you want to start your self-defense, personal training business, it takes, like anything else, years to build and to make it to a point where you can make it as a full-time career. I could say it took me about 2 to 3 years before I started making money. I started making money in my third year, where I'm starting to actually make profit on it, where I'm starting to scale my business. And it took about 10 years for me to be able to fully live off it, pay my house, my mortgage, my trips, to be able to sustain my life with it. So I'm gonna be sharing you guys my journey and how I did it. But before we start, if you guys want to learn more self-defense, go visit my website right there, nickdrossos.com. All my new self-defense videos, hero program, hero training camp, or private coaching, women's self-defense, all my new and exclusive content is on nickdrossos.com. I will leave the link in the comment box, so go check it out. So what is the first thing when you want to start your business out? I'm going to talk about two things that are very important before you get started. The first thing is you want to identify yourself as a trainer, as a coach, and you got to tell yourself, what kind of coach and trainer do I want to be? Do I want to teach more the traditional martial arts? Do I want to be a strength training coach, more of a functional coach, more of a bodybuilding coach, a Krav Maga coach, more of a street self-defense, an MMA coach? It's very important for you to figure out first, what is it that you love and what kind of coach do you want to be? If somebody tells me, Nick, I want to fight in the cage, can you coach me for MMA? I tell them straight up, it's not my specialty. It's not what I do. If you want that, go see Xavier or go see Davis. That's what they do. That's one of their specialty. Now, if you want strength training, functional training, I'm your guy. You want street self-defense, I'm your guy. You want to do a cardio box? Absolutely. You want to become a professional boxer? You should go to a professional boxing gym. So that's a little bit, so that's important for you to know, so you could start figuring out what kind of trainer do you want to be, because then you want to tell yourself, what kind of clients do I want to attract? What type of clients do you want to get? And it's very important. My average clients are between 35 to 55, up to 60. They're more into the strength training, conditioning. They want to learn more street self-defense. They want to learn how to protect themselves, their families. They want to train for their kids, the husband and the wife. So, I don't train the super athlete. I let other people do that. There's certain type of clients that I know are not my ideal clients, and it's okay. if you think that you're going to get everybody as a client and everybody's your client, your aiming is not going to be effective, because you're basically, fishing with dynamite, trying to like get whatever you can. You want to narrow down your ideal client, because at the same time, you're doing something that you love. If I don't enjoy the type of training I'm going to offer, then yes, you're in this to make money, but you're also in this first to give value, and because it's your passion and your love, and people and your clients will be able to feel that. So that's just two quick points before we get into the business aspect. So the number one thing I tell people is keep your overhead low. Too many people want to start big. I want to open a big gym. And I recently had a friend of mine who left his job, and he goes, you inspired me to like start my own personal training business. And he was showing me all these big plans of how he wants to open this big gym and what it's going to look like. And he forgot the moment to moment, day to day, small part of the business daily to get to that, right? Before you go open a big gym and spend money on high overhead and rent and this, and start small, start building your name, build your clientele, build your social media, build your experience as well in the field, that you get to a point where people know you. So when you open your gym or you open your studio, you're not starting from scratch with that, with the rent and the big overhead where you have to produce. So I look at myself when I started my business, as you can see, I just showed you guys what I started with. I started home training. Didn't cost me anything, right? I remember I had my shitbox car, $2,000, and I would drive to people's homes. I would take my car and I would drive to people's homes, and that's how I started. I started with home training because it was cheaper. Then instead of going to rent a location, I would teach in community centers. I would teach in gyms and try to get deals where if I taught for free, I can get to teach some private sessions. I would work out deals where it didn't cost me a fixed rate, but more overhead, until I could get to a point where I could build and scale my business. So that took me a good 2-3 years. Now remember, if people don't know you, the average of a trainer could go from 65 up to 100, up to 150. If nobody knows you and you're gonna think you're gonna go and charge $75, $80, $100 without experience and without people knowing who you are, I mean, I remember 10 years ago, and I had the experience, I was charging $20, $30. I was begging people to give me business, right? So, and obviously you don't want to sell yourself short, but don't listen to these gurus where they're like, yeah, charge 100. You're not, I had a friend of mine who's a coach who's like, you should charge $150 an hour. The going rate in Montreal, nobody's going to pay $150 for a trainer. It's, and you also have to go with the value market of what's around. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, like I said, start small. Buy your TRX, buy some bands, buy some equipment, start training people at home, community centers, in parks, whatever is free, and start building your name and your reputation. The second thing is what I did. My gym is in my home. So what I did is I own an apartment building, and I looked at the last floor and I said, wow, maybe I should turn this. I have about 600 square feet total, maybe 800 actually, right? Because the whole back is another part of the gym. And I said, you know what, instead of going to pay a lot of money, why don't I invest? I invested about, I remember $20,000, $25,000 here. And I, got a contractor, ripped up the walls, opened it up, new shower, bought the equipment. But the $25,000, it's in my house, it's in my building, and it's been here for close to 11 years now, close to 10 years actually, right? It's been close to 10 years that I have this gym. Now, it didn't look like this when I first started. I built it. Vincent, what's up, my man? Our host, Vincent at MMA, guys. So it didn't start, it didn't start where I went big. It started small, and then I scaled my gym. And then when I spent the money, I I went all out. I got floor, I took off the wall. So I started really, really small, and then I started scaling that business. So again, instead of going to open a gym and paying high rent, I used my home, which is a deductible. I don't have rent, and I'm able, again, to scale my business. Share with you guys a great story. Last year, right before COVID, 2 years ago, I almost invested in a gym. I was gonna go partners. You know, we're looking at opening a studio. It was gonna cost about $500,000. When I crunched out all the numbers, I realized, well, you know, the overhead and the cost was so high, I would need to be training a lot of people and doing a lot of courses to break even, make my money in return, and then make my money in return, which would take years. And at the end, I said, you know what? It just wasn't worth it, right? Especially now, you look at COVID, everything's happening online. Anybody could coach anybody online, and I offer these training sessions online. So you could do this online. So keep your overhead low, get equipment that is not expensive, that you could still get a full body workout. Find a way to work with your community, build a home gym, build a gym in your garage, build a gym in your room, build a studio that you could train online, and keep that. The next tip I'm gonna tell you is branding. Very important. You guys could see I've went through a few logos. This is the final one. Nick Drossos Defensive Tactics. Get a good branding. Get a branding that represents you. Get a branding that shows who you are, what you do, what you teach. Don't cheap out on branding, on t-shirts, on business cards. Don't cheap out on that, because that is what people see. When I get a business card for the first time, I'm like, when I see a nice business card, I'm like, wow, this is pretty nice. This looks good, right? So automatically I'm thinking that this person has some value. He put some money to put on a nice business card. T-shirts. I have t-shirts. I don't sell cheap. I don't give cheap t-shirts. I give American Apparel the best t-shirts, right? On my car, I bought a brand new car, put my logo on it. I put a beautiful logo on it, and guess what? That's free advertisement, right? So I took my brand, figure out your brand, invest money, create a good logo, a good branding that also is geared towards the type of clients you want to attract, and don't cheap out. Don't cheap out on the little things. That's what people don't realize, right? If you look at my gym, it's always top of the line equipment I buy. I might not have a lot, but what I do buy is always the best and of quality, because that's what people are going to remember, right? So to me, the idea of less is more, that's what it is. The next tip I can give you guys, social media. Guys, you could build anything today. If you're telling me, Nick, I want to start a business, you have social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. Share with the world who you are, what you do, where they can find you. And don't make it about you, make it about them. You know, when I make videos, I'm always sharing what I can do for you and not what I could do. Yes, these are the occasional video of me sparring and fighting and hitting the bag. Yes, I want to show a percentage, small percentage of who you are and what you stand for. That's great. But at the end, you want to give value. So today, you know, you don't need to spend so much money on marketing like you used to. Start small. Start with your social media. Build your brand and your social media all together. And use it. It's free. It's a lot of work, and it's consistency. That's what it comes down to. You have to be consistent, right? Too many people think I'm going to put a couple of posts and then stop. But it's about consistency that's going to get results, especially when you're building your business and your brand. It takes time for people to get to know who you are and what you do, okay? Also, guys, make sure to, when you're getting into this industry, that you're giving value. At the end, it's very important that you actually care about your clients. I legitimately care about seeing my clients do well, seeing them achieve their goals, seeing them lose weight, get in shape, empower them, feel more confident. Whatever it is, you have to do this career with love and with passion, where you actually care about what you do and what you're offering as a service. because your clients will feel that. They will feel it. And my clients know whether I train with them online or live, or when I do a seminar, they know that I actually care. Yes, obviously the idea is you want to make it as a career and be able to make money off it, but at the end, you want to chase a career of value and not just the money, right? Because if you're just doing this for the money and the money doesn't come in fast enough or the way you want it, you're going to quit. If you're doing this for the money, you're going to realize at some point, people are going to feel that you're not into this as much, or you don't care. And at the end, that's the baseline. And I see it with my clients. They know that I'm legitimately want the best for them, right? As well too, as a trainer, as a coach, invest, and I tell this to trainers, invest in your knowledge, invest in your experience, invest in your continuing education. Take courses. I got about 7 or 8 strength training certifications, kettlebells, TRX, fitness, kickboxing, CanFitPro, prenatal and postnatal. I got all kinds of different certifications because I'm continuously learning and want to be better in terms of what I'm teaching and give more value. Even now, I'm training with Xavier, an MMA coach. People tell me, well, why did you get a coach, Nick? Because I'm still learning. I'm still pushing myself and getting better in terms of always learning and training with new people, because everybody's always going to teach you something new. And I think that when you stop learning, that's when you stop growing. Right? So it's, again, I look at that in terms of my personal development, but as well as being a strength training coach and teaching self-defense, I'm always working on my skill set, my craft, and working with other instructors to learn something new, or pick up something new, or do something differently or better, or maybe eliminate something that I was doing. So it's a never-ending process. And I think that's the mindset you want to have. Vincent, my man, what's going on? Guys, if you want to leave a small donation, it's super cool. I'm 36. I've also my home gym right after waking up in a small breakfast. I'm ready to work out. That's awesome, guys. I mean, you could find a room in your house. And here's the thing, guys. You don't need these expensive equipment, right? People get fooled. They think they need the big machines. In this room, it's all functional, meaning I have kettlebells, TRX, bands, free weight, medicine ball, TRX rip, the bob dummy, heavy punching bag, a landmine, weight vest, and a bunch of boxing stuff. All this can be pretty much mobile. Now in the back room, I have my heavy, obviously my squat rack, right? And I'm getting a spinner in the back. That's a little bit different, but it's also in my gym. I've created 2 different spaces. So, I mean, if you have a room in your apartment, an empty room, put a little corner, you know what I mean? Put a couple of mats, get a couple of weights, some medicine balls, some kettlebells. You'd be surprised how much you can do just from a small space in training at home. Is it harder to get clients in this pandemic? Mr. Keys, is it harder? Absolutely not, guys. So I've actually doubled my business since the pandemic. Why do you want to do personal training? Templar, you Tim, my man, what's going on? Let me just ask Mr. Keys, no, it's not. I mean, after a while, my business has doubled. I'm training people all around the world online, right? So you just open your phone and through Zoom, and I have my setup over here, and depending on what they have in their house, we do 30-minute workouts. So anybody could do this from anywhere, right? So it hasn't been harder, but I did move fast on pushing my online business, and as well as I use the social media and I already have a presence, so that made it easier for me because I already had that reputation. Why do you want to do personal training? Well, here's the thing, and the thing that you guys are going to notice, there's regular training sessions. So let me just answer this. The reason when I started my self-defense, I noticed that more people wanted personal training. More people want to get in shape, feel good, look good, lose weight, get stronger, flexible. So I would say 60-70% of my business is more that, strength training, because again, I'm a strength training coach and I love it for self-defense and combat conditioning and Krav Maga or MMA. It's your engine, you need it. So what have I done is that 60-70% of my strength training, where people want to get in shape and feel good and look good, but then I incorporate my self-defense, boxing, kickboxing, whatever else I do in there. So I put them together. So, you know, that gives them a more complete workout, and I get to do both. They get to get in shape and do their strength training, but they also get to learn self-defense, hit pads, and do different drills. Because the truth is, there's a bigger market in the personal training than there is in the self-defense. So, I mean, if I only did self-defense, I probably wouldn't have been as busy as I am now. But now I could kind of see there's a shift. More people do want to learn self-defense, so I've kind of put them together. Nick, how does a regular training session of you look, Nick? Well, it depends, right? Like right now we do 30 minutes online. So depending on who I'm training, right? So what I'll do is you're gonna fill out a form. We're gonna have a quick call. I want to know a little bit more about your history, your goals. What do you want? And then we do 30 minutes, depending on what they want. I train kids where we just do self-defense. I trained today, I trained a few clients. I trained a 38-year-old woman where we did 5 minutes of just like, 5 minutes of warm-up. We did about 10 minutes of strength training, 10 minutes of boxing, kickboxing, self-defense movements, and 5 minutes of just core strength and planks. So it's 30-minute workouts. So it depends on who I'm training. Because I'm doing it in my gym, if you have a punching bag at home, well, we could do a punching bag workout. If you have weights and that's it, then we're gonna do a weight workout. I'm gonna work around what you have, again, geared for you, and that's what's interesting about the 30-minute workouts. Now, in my hero training camp, I have the Get Fit with Nick videos. I have combat conditioning videos. Those are video on demand, and you could do them anytime and watch them over and over again. Looking back at your success and where you are now, how many people said you couldn't achieve this dream? Tim, do you know how many people told me that I was a dreamer, that I would never make it, that it's a tough business, there's so many trainers, who's gonna pay that kind of money for a personal trainer? I heard it all. And at the end, I was so passionate about doing this, and I also told myself I have no choice but to make it. When I left, I was working at the hospital at my job I was making about $30,000 a year, which is really nothing. And, but I had the benefits and the government job, and everybody told me you have a security and benefits and a good job. What are you doing? Leaving this for the unknown, it might work, you might make money, you might make it as a trainer. People thought I was crazy for doing it. But again, from their perspective, their highest value is security, and I get it. For me, I couldn't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So at some point, when I decided to leave the hospital and pursue my career, there was no plan B. It was plan A. You got to make this work. You got to make this a full-time career, and you got to figure it out. And if I tell you guys how many hours I worked per day, right? And I don't mean training, building my business, getting clients, going in the street. I used to go in the streets in one of the richest neighborhoods in Montreal and just leave my business cards on the car. I used to do this by foot. My cards would be everywhere. And I was constantly in people's faces, and I would offer my first training session for free training session, free classes, everything just to get clients and to be able to build my business. So I hammered out everything I had to do. Most people I know wouldn't, and they quit because, well, after a year, 2 years, when you're still pushing away, you're not making the money you want to be making, you start giving up. But it takes years to build your business. It takes years to build your reputation, your name, credibility, where people know. Now I don't need to tell people what I do. People either have heard of me, seen me, or know me. And that's where you want to get. Which martial arts would you recommend for a beginner? Effective one really depends, Dr. I always tell people start with the base, start with a good solid boxing, or I would always say start with learn how to stand on your feet and learn how to throw a couple of strikes. That's the base, right? You can start with jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu again, it's too much on the ground, too much submissions. I would do that a little bit later. Obviously, if you have a Krav Maga school, start with your Krav Maga right away. Start learning some street stuff, but don't neglect the boxing, some MMA, some jiu-jitsu in there. I mean, you want to learn the street stuff, but you also want to make sure you're focusing on the other skills that you get through different systems. So guys, in 5 minutes, I'm going to be going off the chat. If you guys want to leave me a super chat, it'd be cool. If not, it's all good. Smash the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, share the video, guys. Anybody you know who wants to start this business or getting to this business, like I tell you guys, it's a very fulfilling, it's a great business, a great career to have, right? It's very rewarding, and there's nothing else I would want to do more than what I'm doing. And I'm lucky that 10 years later, I'm traveling, I'm teaching seminars, I'm training police, but it took years to get there. It took a lot of years to get there. And I'll share with you guys, it took 10 years of training, of working in gyms, teaching for free. It took me 10 years and another 10 years to get to where I am today, where I'm doing this full time. So it's been a 20-year span to get to the point where, again, you could sustain your life from it. And that's the key. That's what you want to do. You want to be able to sustain this as a full-time career. It's not easy, but again, it's very rewarding. Josh, absolutely. I'm going to be making some new videos for my hero training program with this bag, right? Kicks, combinations, as well as a crazy Bob Dummy series coming out. Did you ever take pancreation from your Navy? No, I haven't. We're supposed to have Aris come on and talk about pancreation. He's been a little bit busy. He's been injured with his back, but it's been postponed a few times. Hopefully we're going to make it happen. And on that note, guys, when do we see you in the ring? Tim, I'm hoping to start, to do a fight soon. I mean, it would just be for me, for my own personal fun, step in the ring. I'm going to start sparring again with Xavier. I'm basically training right now in my head. I'm kind of getting into fight, fight body, fight mindset, fight mode. I'm training, so it's just for fun for myself. I want to do it, and that's it. It's kind of a goal that I set myself to keep me focused on my training and to really push myself in that aspect. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, make sure to like, subscribe, smash the button, share the video if you know anybody who is thinking of opening a personal training business, who wants to become a self-defense instructor. I also have my instructor course. So I have a live instructor course every year, one time a year, only 12 participants, level 1, level 2. As well, guys, make sure to check out Vincent MMA. Vincent, my man, I want to thank you for being the moderator. Let's talk again this weekend. Let's stay on track with this. So make sure to check out Vincent, guys. He has some great MMA and self-defense on his channel. And that's it, guys. We thank you for watching. I'm out.